Stream out here. Hey there, continuing our Tandy Retrofest, we now have the FujiNet segment with William Athing and Henry Gernhardt, who are going to be showing us what they've been working on. And that's what we're going to be doing for the next hour. So this is Mark, your host and stream engineer, and we'll turn the platform over to probably William and Henry. Who's going first? Is it William or Henry?
So I can do the quick introduction, but the first part of the demo today, we're going to show you how to set up the hardware for FujiNet on a real live CoCo, and that's going to be Henry. He's got his whole setup good to go for that, and then I'm going to show you how to get a setup for a virtual with a virtual machine. I use VMware, but you can use whatever. Set up so that you can do it without hardware, without making an investment in either a CoCo or a FujiNet. And then I'll segue into that, and we'll take that and the next step and do some software development with Fuji.
Most excellent.
So first and foremost, of course, if you've, I've got two items up here. I've got the screen that's showing me what the switch settings are, but what are these switches in the first place? This is the FujiNet device that I put together a while back. Bill was kind enough to give me the case for it. And since it was a prototype that I'd put together, I hadn't done it to spec, which is why I had to cut out the front. So if you get a FujiNet device like this, you're not going to get this cut out of the top. But taking the top off of it, we got a couple of dip switches right here. And of course, you got your LED indicators and you got your serial port. Everybody's wondering, okay, what's up with these things? Well, if you look over at, let me see if I can point to it. Yes, that right there on my screen, on your screen there, you'll see that we've got, you can do the CoCo 1, which this is set to right here. CoCo 2, if I turn this switch off, now I'm set for CoCo 2 with the 57600. If I reverse them so that 1 is on and 2 is off, now I'm set for the 115-200 for the 3. And if I turn them both off, I'll have a diagnostics cart. And that's all stored in this EEPROM right here. That's why we're doing it that way, so that we can set it up for multiple machines. And, well, there's space left, so why not a diagnostics cart? So let me turn this on, and I'll slot this into the machine, just like you would any other cartridge. And then for right now, until we get the full bus version working, which I believe you just I believe, Bill, that I saw you saying, "Hey, I'll help too," didn't I?
Yeah, I signed up for perhaps assisting a bit. I've got the full setup here, and I'm motivated, so I want to get it going. I actually need it for some of my software development efforts. Using the one of the advantages of using the FujiNet for software is that it allows you to take advantage of the modern computing power of the ESP32 to do things like parsing internet streams and whatever. And if I'm doing it the way that you expect to do things on the FujiNet, that the protocol for DriveWire for doing like JSON parsing, it goes a little bit slow. And so having the bus version will help out a lot with that.
Yeah. So, and if I go back here, and okay. If I come back here to the back of the machine, of course, you put your serial cord right into the back of the machine. Where is that? Not this one, but that one right there. And that dongle acts like your DriveWire tether. So this thing speaks DriveWire. That's what it's using to be able to communicate with the CoCo, and what it's using to act as a boot device. The DriveWire, the HDB DOS ROM is in that ROM that you saw. I've already set that up. And if I switch over to my composite with left and turn the machine on, there we get the FujiNet config coming in, and I can turn off that, and we're up on the FujiNet device. Now, this already has some things set up on it as far as places to go. Everybody who's been here in FujiNet before, who's seen FujiNet before, has seen these demonstrations. Oh, look, I've got the SD card. I've got the apps are out online. I've got these things put up here. So here's a fun little thing that I like about using the FujiNet. It's not just that I can go to apps.errata.online and go over to CoCo and go over to games and see if I can find, let's see, what is that? Oh, it's not there. It's not going to find it, but that's all right. Let me get rid of that film. But if I go over to mine, fujinet.thebreakkey.com, I've got a disk here, like on my personal server, that I can set, I can load up, I can put that in there. I've already got it mounted, and I can mount it if I point there. Okay, there we go. If you look there at that bottom line where it says W, I can mount that read write. So I can actually write to a disk. Let me get out of here and get that mounted. That exists on the net. So this is not being held locally. This is on the net. So if I
have a question about it too.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, how easy was it to set up the was it trivial NFS server?
The TNFS server was very easy to set up. I literally I've got a $2 a month virtual private server that I'm using for this. You know, and so if you're, it's just real easy. You set it up, you get it running, you do the install script, and yeah. There's for Mac and for Windows, there's now a TNFS GUI that the FujiNet project has put forward. But yeah, I can save this. Okay, and that saves directly to, oh, it just lost it. There we go. That saves directly to the TNFS network. So if I were to go over to, if I turn this whole thing off and bring it back up again, reboot the whole thing.
You'll have William connect to it.
Yeah, definitely. But I'll be connecting to William's here. I can go back into the, my disks that it's looking at. There's test.disks. You know, I break out, it mounts it, and it's mounting it on the fly. There's hello world.bas. And there you go. And this is pulling it down from the network the whole time. So you're not sitting there like, oh, I've got to transfer an SD card. I've got to do this, that, and the other. This is actually acting like a network share out on the network using TNFS.
It is a network share, Henry.
Yeah. That's exactly what it is. So as far as setting things up and getting things running, there's what I've got on real hardware. Bill, you ready to go?
So is there a lock so you can only have one person mounted at a time?
No, there's no limit to the number of people who can have it mounted. However, I don't think TNFS is ready to deal with collisions.
Exactly.
So if you've got multiple people mounting the same disk at the same time, they might be able to read the same disk at the same time. But if two of them try to write it at the same time, something's going to go wonky somewhere, I'm pretty sure.
Especially
there's no file locking or anything like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So one other thing I'll add as a follow-on to that is that there's a feature in FujiNet where they allow you for the particular case of games, if you do a little bit of software development for a particular game, it can learn where the high scores get stored on the disk image, and it can aggregate those somewhere. I have not investigated that, but that's a feature that they have, which is pretty cool. And at some point in time, maybe we'll do something for the Game On Challenge where we take advantage of that. And then, you know, the Game On Challenge guys can get a week off from having to do the high scores manually. All right. So don't know if you guys can see my screen here. This is this is a generic vanilla install of Ubuntu 22.04, and let's see. Oh, I need to hold on. Switch windows here. It's a little bit small for me, so I have to move it over here. Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up a system where if you don't have a FujiNet or a CoCo, you'll be able to go in here and take advantage of both of those things. And then we'll continue on and show you how to do some software development on it as well. Pull down a program I wrote this week that's a chat program. So, it's not going to be too bad here. First off, as I said, this is a very generic VM. It's got nothing installed on it except Visual Studio Code. We're going to get it set up with all the dev tools that we need.
Is this your main OS, or are you running this in a virtual box?
This is actually running VMware, but it'll work in VirtualBox, and it will also work in WSL as well. I've been doing a lot of my software development lately for FujiNet over there. Now, one thing we'll provide in a few days, and maybe Mark, you can add it to the comments below, is some links to the directions on how to install this stuff. I'm going to add documentation to the FujiNet website for how to do all this, and yeah, so that might make things a little bit easier for people, so they don't have to follow along and retype any of this stuff. So that's all the code, all the tools that we need to do the development, including Git, which we're using now to retrieve a copy of MAME.
So you're going to build MAME from source also.
We're going to build MAME from, so we're going to build a CoCo subset. So it's going to be pretty small. You could short circuit some of the time required here by downloading the MAME binaries. You can do sudo apt install MAME, and then but there's a reason for it, because the end goal for building it from scratch is we're going to actually during the software development portion of this, we're going to do a little modification that Mikey M6IL told me about over on the Discords, which is very helpful for troubleshooting protocol issues with FujiNet. So alrighty, so we have downloaded MAME. Sorry. So this will only take a couple of minutes to build this, because as I said, we're building a subset of MAME for CoCo.
Which CoCos are you targeting? All three, or just CoCo 2?
It'll target all the CoCos and Dragon as well.
Okay.
Now, while that's going, we're going to create a new window. We're going to get FujiNet going. So FujiNet, in order to build FujiNet, we have to download and build the prerequisite, which we can do at the same time here.
Multitasking, it's a thing.
Now, this prerequisite for building FujiNet, the current version that's out there doesn't build. We need to download or have a particular version of it available. So we're going to check that version out. Some modules. that build's actually pretty quick. It's almost done. We're not, this video is not mostly about building or not about watching things build. Alrighty, so now that we have MAME is built, we're gonna get ourselves some ROMs. And so we've installed the embed TLS tool. We have all the ROMs we need for MAME. Let's do a quick test to see if the MAME is working. There is a particular command line that we use that it fires up the MAME emulator with a CoCo 2B version and with the correct firmware that will eventually talk to our FujiNet build. There's one other thing to note here. It's gonna, when you fire it up with that command line, press tab and then go down to machine configuration. You've got to enable the Becker port. So return to previous, start system. Right now, all you're going to get is this because there's no FujiNet to talk to. So we're going to shut down MAME and then we're going to go ahead and build FujiNet. Let's do it over here. Pardon me. So FujiNet has a an integrated firmware environment. They have FujiNet source code base, and it builds from the same chunk of source code for all the different platforms, including PC to emulate for any of the other devices it targets. And in order to build that, we go ahead and use the build script. You choose what platform it's going to target. So this build script in particular is for FujiNet PC, I believe. But this recipe for building will build a version of FujiNet that runs on your Linux environment with debug enabled. So, oops, sorry, wrong directory.
Don't worry, your demo's going a lot smoother than a couple of the others did.
Believe it or not, I've practiced this at least 5 times.
Practice? What's that? We have a staff meeting about practice thing.
So this doesn't take very long either. Yeah, all the FujiNet stuff builds pretty quick. It's intended to run on a fairly small targets. So okay, that's built. Now we can run FujiNet by changing into build/dist. And then there's a file here called run FujiNet. And this gets the FujiNet server running. Now, if we go back over to the other window, we'll fire up our MAME emulator. And last time we turned on the Becker port, that should stay on, so we don't have to do that again. This time we boot in there, and it goes straight into FujiNet. And we can choose any of these particular servers. I'm going to edit this one out, and I'm going to put in my personal server. This is the default list that comes with it, and it's populated with the most popular ones. But, sure.
And you forgot to boot your server.
My server is booted. Let's see.
Network connectivity on your end.
Yeah, definitely. I'm gonna restart my MAME, and I'm gonna go with because it's a little bit different than the publicly accessible IP address versus the local one. So I'm just gonna hit it directly with local. So I edit that. There we go. There we go.
There it is.
And now we're going to demonstrate an app that I'm going to show you the source code for, and we'll build it all in a minute. But this particular tool we created this week just so we could show you a minimal app for FujiNet. Are you in there right now,
Working on
Henry?
it.
Right. So that message is normal. I'm behind my firewall, so I can't access the publicly accessible IP address. So I changed the code today to go around it and just hit it direct if it fails once. So names have to be unique on this particular chat server. And we're there. This chat server actually is a FujiNet component, and it's used in the FujiNet lobby system, which is available for games that allow multiplayer use. But
Mine didn't want to work for whatever reason.
Oh, curious. All right. Well, I can still show you. I'm connected to the server right now, and I'm testing. So that's a message typed in from my real CoCo behind me that's logged into that server as well. Did you get what error message did you get, Henry?
I didn't. If you focus on me for a minute, I can show you what's happening.
Right.
Sure.
Nope. Hang on. I need to do drive number 1. And so the fun fact is that we were working from the same location at the same time. We were both downloading the same file, running the same file. Oh, there it goes. Now it's deciding to work.
Right. Excellent. All righty. Now I got to figure out which window to type into here.
And there it is. It shows up on both of it.
So this is a oh, actually there's an update that I didn't apply to the to my shared copy. There's only one chat room on this particular chat server, but it always puts at the front of your messages the chat room name. So I made a change to get rid of that, but apparently I didn't apply it. But this is a sample app just to show you how easy it is to create things where people can collaborate, usually in games and whatever, with FujiNet. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to now set up an environment where we can go ahead and build software, and then we'll show you the source code for this app, and it's actually quite small. So the it's based upon
You'll want to switch over to focus on Bill.
Okay. Oh, yeah, I should just, oops. Didn't have. I don't do this stream engineering much, so I'm still fumbling my way around all the options.
This is my first time streaming ever, so I feel like I'm fumbling around everything I'm doing. Okay, so we need to download all the particular tools. So let's see. Here is the compiler that we're going to use, and
Near the top where the link is. Yep, there we go.
there it is.
And you have to have lwasm also.
Yep, that's on my list. Download that guy. Go ahead. There's lwasm, and then
Put your F in there for file.
yeah.
Yes.
Why is it not seeing it? There it is. Okay.
You could just make all. It's been a couple months since I built lwasm.
Yeah, I've done this several times this week.
Yeah, the thing with all this CoCo stuff, especially, it's all bleeding edge stuff. And so a lot of times it makes more sense I download the main source code, take the curve, and I build it from source. I download lwasm, build it from source, I download CMOC.
And then there are those of us who their second Linux distribution was Gentoo.
Mm-hmm. And you're used to that.
Yeah.
The thing is that way you always have the latest tools. It's like you always have the latest this, the latest that. All leading edge, but
Unless you're like me and don't update your system for like a year and a half and then spend a good 3.5 days getting everything back up to snuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm trying to upgrade my main Ubuntu 20.04 system to 22, but got a few things I need to unwind first.
Yeah.
Patched a few things I need to undo.
All righty.
And for those of you who might be looking at this and trying to do it on Windows, the big thing is a lot of this stuff is just so much easier to do in a Linux shell environment that my recommendation if you're on Windows is to go into WSL and just install the default Ubuntu install for WSL, and you can do all this right in there.
And still be on Windows.
Yeah, you'll still be on Windows, but you'll at least have the ease of use when it comes to building stuff like this. There apparently is a way to build FujiNet PC for Windows natively. I haven't looked into that to see what the actual build command for that is. Probably involves downloading and installing platform.io or the various and sundry.
MSys something.
Yeah, and all those other build environments. So,
Yeah, I wasn't 100% certain if it was supported fully on Windows, because I think that'd be easier and more accessible for people that are not as familiar with Linux.
Right, and that's definitely going to be easier and more accessible for people who are not familiar with Linux. And if I have my druthers, I would actually build a FujiNet PC binary rather than have to ship the entire build environment, unless people want the build environment.
Not to be a Linux snob, because I am becoming one, but you know, it's like we all started with the command line, guys, you know, before there was GUIs. So yeah, Linux, it's just got different commands, and you know, it's amazing that Google and other search engines work really well trying to figure these things out. So just suck it up and do it. And you have no excuse, and you can install WSL2 and install Ubuntu or Debian or whatever you want under Windows 10, 11, 12. So,
And use the tool that's best for the job. You know, is my opinion.
yes.
You know, if you can easily go in and put in an incantation in a WSL bash prompt, you know, just copy paste all that in there and it does it all for you, and it's that easy, then use that tool. If you've got a download for Windows that does everything that you need it to do, and you're comfortable in Windows, use that tool. And if for whatever reason you're stuck on a Mac and you're comfortable with that tool, then use that tool.
Okay, so we are now, we have the tool chain set up, and tool chain is set up, and we downloaded the source code for that chat application we were looking at before. And let's go ahead and get it built. It doesn't see toolshed.
Did you install toolshed? I didn't see you do it.
I did. I believe I did anyway.
Probably should wind up in the local bin local user local bin. I think that's where it usually installs for me.
I did the command over here. There it is. Ah. There we go.
Yeah, there we go. You built it, just didn't get installed.
Okay. So there was an error that came out of here because my make file puts a little bit of extra stuff. I always put the iss.bin file in my disk image just to have a test image that I know works in there. But it also one of the things it does, one of the things it can do is copy it to their appropriate place. But because it had that error, it didn't do that. So I'm going to copy the built image for that chat application to // So this particular when you build FujiNet PC, it creates a virtual SD directory, and you can, if you create any local software or you download any local disk images, you can put it into that folder, and then it will show up as the virtual SD card when you fire up the FujiNet. So I went ahead. So what we've done here is we built our chat application. We've shown it running before, so we're not going to show it right now. But the CP command put it into the place where it can be accessible from there. The other thing we should do here is take a look at our application, and I'm going to make it a little bit bigger. So it's actually very simple. The main program, I don't know, it's less than 200 lines here. The important things to note are, you know, it's got some buffers for the messages sent and received. The network functionality is very simple. Inits the network, opens up the server, and the server is pointed to up above with these strings. This is weird. This is like
IP address and port.
Excuse me?
IP address and port. So pretty
Yeah,
straightforward.
yeah.
Yep.
So it's pretty basic. It also, you can put a DNS address in there as well.
And you'll notice it's using the n:" format that Thomas was talking about.
Right. So it writes the messages to the network. Now this particular build, I can see that this is an old version of the code, so it's not going to work. But it's the new code is actually a little bit simpler.
Did somebody not do a push?
That's something that it looks like it didn't happen today. Yes. Regardless, though, we went ahead and we built in this particular environment, and you know, this source code, I'll make it available as well. I have it up on my GitHub, and you know, later this week, Mark, if you could add some links to this video for me, so people can you know, follow this the commands that the scripts that we used here, and you know, and then access to the source code as well.
Thank you.
But you know, here is the, you know, the MAME emulator again. We'll fire it up, but this time it's, okay, it didn't talk to the FujiNet server because starting up the FujiNet again, and then we'll go here. And so now you see that chat disk is actually stored over on the disk, the virtual SD, and it's accessible. So if you guys will bear with me for a second, I can update that source code and we can run it from there.
Sure.
Yeah. Oh, wait a second.
Hey, I'd like to interject here too, that if you have any questions about this stuff, you know, anybody watching this, you know, ask questions. I mean, I've gotten pretty good at building like all of these tools from source. And I'm not perfect. Ron Klein doing the CoCo Pi is really, really good on stuff. He's figured some things out I didn't figure out. And obviously, William here is getting pretty good at this stuff too. So if you have questions, hit us up on Discord. Ask. We've probably already done it. So keep you from getting hours of frustration.
And there's a very good resource available in the FujiNet Discord as well. That's something that anybody that's trying to do this stuff, they're very helpful over there.
And a lot to be said about, you know, being able to have control of your future instead of relying upon other people to build something. It's like you can build it yourself. And that means you can modify it and build it yourself.
This will be pretty quick here.
Got about 15 minutes left, and I think you got through most of what you want to present. Hey, let's keep working this.
Yeah. Almost done here.
Not to rush it, just letting you know.
Yeah.
And by the way, I think I mentioned this before, but just so you know, William, if you want to come back later, I'm planning on spinning CoCo back up again. And CoCo was designed to do this exact sort of thing on a 2-hour format.
We will definitely go ahead. I'm definitely going to want to show some stuff, and you know, I think Henry's got some stuff coming too.
And if it takes more than 2 hours, we'll schedule another. Basically, I figured this stuff's going to be so dense and heavy, and there's no asparagus. It's like we'll keep it down to you know, hour to 2 hour manageable chunk, and give you maybe a week to breathe the time, maybe 2 weeks. So, and it's all recorded, and it'll be there to look at in the future.
Not letting me push my code up into GitHub. Instead, I'm just going to go and show. There's one more thing I wanted to show, and that is the reason behind the building MAME from scratch. There's a trick. that Mikey showed me.
This has to do with debugging, correct?
It has to do with debugging, yes. Let's see.
Mikey's a great guy. Got to
Oh,
talk
yes.
to him for many hours.
So inside of this particular file, there are some debug messages you can enable that will allow you to see the bidirectional traffic going through the Becker port.
Yeah. DW socket.
Yes. Yeah. And again, if you can help out later this week, Mark, I'll put some details up on that we can paste into the comment section down below.
Yep. Okay.
So those two places. We'll copy it, the command.
Pretty quick to just recompile that one module and relink it.
Oh, yes. It didn't give me the log here.
Do you need to configure that before you boot the CoCo?
Yes. I thought I enabled it with just the dash log, but I think I actually need to do some more configuration of MAME to enable that. So
Yeah. Still got time.
yeah. Okay. Okay. Shut that down. And you check something out here.
So while he's doing that, I have the current state of the hardware of the next FujiNet sitting on top of my machine and visible here.
Nice.
Your view.
So, yep. Right now, what I've got here is just the basic idea of what our development cartridge looks like. And you might see, oh, we've got the ESP32 and we've got what looks like a Pi Pico. Well, that is a Pi Pico because the Pico actually is going to replace a bunch of components that together, although maybe simpler, are more expensive than just the Pico because this is like a $5 piece and it's replacing the ROM, it's replacing bus arbitration logic, it's handling the things that's going to let the CoCo talk to the ESP32 as well as provide some just provide data for the CoCo to work with. So the last time that I saw this, it seemed that the FujiNet device itself, the FujiNet code itself, was working, but we were having some issues with timing on the Pico. So put all this together, bodge a few wires, see what's going on with it, to make sure that to get everything running. I've yet to put my copy together, as you can see. But I'm looking forward to finding out what that's going to look like. And as I discover that, I'm planning on having those videos of discovery up on my channel, the Break Key on YouTube, with the usual, oh, so that's what happens, and something went very, very awry.
So tell me, the Pi Pico, it also has a real-time clock, right? And that's important.
I'm not sure that I mean, I'm sure you could NTP in there, but I'm not sure that it actually has a real-time clock built in.
Yeah.
I can't remember if the RP2040 has that as one of its characteristics.
Yeah.
I think you can actually do it if you enable an external backup battery on it. But yeah, they're actually using that right now as one of the features for the RS-232/MS-DOS FujiNet is just using it to set the clock on your old MS-DOS machine.
The ones that don't have a built-in real-time clock.
Yeah.
So this is the Rev 0000 FujiNet
This
board?
is the bodge board.
The bodge board.
This isn't even a Rev yet. This is we've managed to put everything together. And if you look at the schematic for this, it's like, okay, we're taking these signal lines and we're bringing them to the breakout board. And then we're just shipping them straight to these lines on the pico. And then we're shipping these lines to the pico over the ESP32. We're looking at what the communication is going to look like between these two. And right now, the easiest thing to do is to literally take a USB cable, plug one of them into the S3 and plug one of them into the Pico and have them talk to each other that way when we're trying to transfer data from the Pico or from the S3 to the Pico for like ROMs and things of that nature. Not for the actual FujiNet traffic, but for like updating the ROM image that's on here, anything that you need to hit boot cell for reprogramming it. We'll figure out what happens. So, and it looks like Bill's up.
Okay.
Yeah, so I had to make some settings in the MAME.ini, and once I do that, then it should enable a lot more of the logging. So the wrong one. I'm gonna restart it. Restarting the FujiNet server. It is not talking. So this is not going to work. I'll have to put some updates down below that will show how to get this logging working. Yeah. I think that's it for now.
All right. Okay. This is wonderful. But I'm a big supporter of the FujiNet idea, networking in general, and wow, I drug Thomas Cherryholmes onto this onto the CoCo talk back when he was doing the Irata online stuff, Plato terminal stuff. So
Cool.
Been following his stuff for many years. Okay, well, I guess that's a wrap for this, but again, we'll have you back at some point because you'll have more stuff to show off.
Yeah, there's a couple more things that I've got coming FujiNet development wise. I'm well into development for the 5-card stud port for CoCo, and also we have, when Henry was showing the hardware, there's the extra slot in the boot ROM where we have the diagnostics right now. I plan on taking that over and putting in some code to make it work for Dragon as well.
Nice.
And that's also well underway.
Most excellent. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for being on and presenting, and I'd be glad to have you back on CoCo Tech at some point. So, in the meantime, I think we're doing pretty good. We got one more segment to do here. We have Henry Strickland in the wings to show off his, he has a 6309 modern, basically single board computer. It's going to run Nitrous 9, it sounds like. So that's coming up here. We've got a couple of minutes. I'm going to kill the stream and restart with new titles. And the reason I'm doing all this is because then everything's a separate little segment. It has its own title and all that stuff. So anyway, well, gentlemen, thank you for being on. Say goodbye. And we
Thanks.
pull the plug here.